Friday's episode of Just Another Year Chicago. My name is Nick Rohde. I'm joined alongside my co-host Tony Sapita, and today we are hitting on the scorching, red, whatever you want to say, hot Chicago Cubs. But before we begin, a word from our sponsor. 27 years and counting, HCL, Higher Lever Camps, is the longest running boys and girls AAU program in Wisconsin and part now ranking in the Midwest. HCL was established in 1995 by their founder and retired WNBA player Cheryl Moore. HCL has grown into 3 locations: the Greater Fond du Lac, Milwaukee, and Eau Claire counties. London usually reads this, so he pronounces them a lot better. Tune into our last episode about the Chicago Bears, or our next episode also being posted later today, Chicago Bears OTA. For more information, please visit higherlevelcamps.com and say Just Another Year sent you. We love Cheryl, though she is a Packers fan. But right into the conversation of what we want to talk about today, the red hot Chicago Cubs. The Cubs, as of yesterday, June 3rd, have won 15 out of their last 20, had a 6-game winning streak in there, swept one of the best teams in the NL, the Padres, which are number 1 ranked team by ESPN. They were 19-8 in the month of May. And at May 1st, the Cubs were 5 games out of first place and in last place in the NL Central. June 1st, they are 1 game up on the Cardinals in leading the NL Central. So big turnaround for the Cubs. Huge month. Gotta love it. Tough loss last night to the Giants. You are not going to win every single game. So Cubs Twitter, for the love of God, calm down. We are not selling the team because this team is too damn good right now. But Tony's a Sox fan, and now he's impressed because I could say this all the time. The Sox are doing super well. There's no doubt about it. But the Cubs were in a completely different, right when we started these individual podcasts with Tony, they were in a whole new ball game, no pun intended. But they are red hot right now. So Tony, what do you see from an outsider perspective? Because I watch every Cubs game, and I just think they get better and better every time. But what has impressed you the most about this Cubs team?
Honestly, it is just that team mentality. Apologize for there's a little phone in the background here in the office. So it is just that team mentality. They kind of just had their backs against the wall. Obviously it was only April, but at the same time, it really felt like, if they didn't pick it up soon, it might be too much to kind of save the season. So I think that was really cool. Just from a Chicago perspective, I think that's cool. It's always cool when, it was kind of like the 2015, 2016 Cubs when it's just a team. It's not like the Dodgers where they bought all their players and they're, putting them together like that. That is just one team playing around each other. The fans, I think, have been willing them to victory because I know it's only 20,000. I think it's a full stadium.
There's no doubt. There is no doubt that that the vendors are like, come in.
Yeah, it's like it's definitely closer to 90%. That's awesome, and I, all for that. And it is very cool. You hear that pop every time someone hits a home run. It's just that classic Wrigley, the roar, and I think it's absolutely awesome. Yeah, you're welcome again for really dominating the Cardinals. Beating them into submission, and you guys are running away with it now.
I will say that I felt like when the Sox took down the Cardinals, so obviously the Cubs won that series 2 out of the 3 for that weekend in St. Louis, which the Cubs struggle on the road, obviously. But in St. Louis, you have Cubs fans there supporting them, so it's different. But, when the Sox took down the Cardinals, that was kind of like the beating, like Chicago is here to be in your face, whether it's a World Series, White Sox Cardinals, or the Cubs, going for the NL Central title, but also potentially a playoff, battle, kind of like we had a couple years ago. I will say this is that the one thing about Wrigley Field, while we're speaking up, before we get into the Cubs bullpen, which is the best bullpen in baseball, by the way, Tony's got some stats on it. I got some stats on it. But before we jump into that, Wrigley Field feels I don't know if it's because there was a year away from baseball. I don't know what it is. The town itself, it's just so alive. Like families are outside the ballpark on the turf watching the game. There's movie night again in Wrigley. The bars are, packed safely due to COVID guidelines. It is just a whole new ball game, and it's a lot of fun. I think this summer is going to be off the charts for Chicago, and everything is open 100% in Illinois as of June 11th. So stay tuned for that. The Cubs and Sox I think the G spot is going to be completely full. We all know Wrigley is already completely full every game. So super excited about that. But going into our next topic, Cubs bullpen is the number 1 bullpen in the MLB right now. Craig Kimbrell, who signed a 3-year contract 2 years ago, is in the final year of his contract, is lights out right now, has not blown one save yet. I believe his walk to strikeout ratio is like 4-1, and that's just absurd. And, the bullpen is young. A lot of these guys were either in minor league systems on other teams. And, Jed Hoyer went out and picked them up all over. And, there's a number, they went a total of 40 plus innings without giving up a run during their incredible 19-8 May. That is incredible, especially against some of the teams that they played, the Cardinals, the Padres. They played the Braves. It's a lot happened for the Cubs, and for them to hold their own when they were not looking so hot at the beginning of the season is super impressive. And one thing about the Cubs is that they can never get the bullpen right, but when they do, they're in the playoffs. And the last time the Cubs got the bullpen right and were this hot and had a closer like this, besides Wade Davis was just, we should have kept him, never got rid of him. But 2016, they had one of the best bullpens. I'm just saying, it could be another year, but we'll see about that. So, Tony, I know the Sox have a good bullpen, but, that's what the one leverage we have on the White Sox is that our bullpen's better. Your starting pitching is much better than the Chicago Cubs starting pitching currently, though getting better. But, man, best bullpen in baseball. It's a lot of fun because you're not stressed innings 7 through 9.
Yeah, the Sox bullpen is definitely kind of the middle relievers, at least, have really kind of backed down. Liam Hendricks won AL reliever of the month or pitcher of the month. So still pretty good there. But obviously, we're talking about the Cubs today. So I think it's very interesting. Like you touched on Craig Kimbrell being amazing. At least a lot of Cubs fans I talked to were like, okay, let's hope he starts off hot. Or when he did start off hot, it's like, well, let's sell him right before the deadline. We'll just we'll get some pieces for him. You might need him for a World Series run now. The Red Line World Series, you're going to need him to pitch against Liam Hendricks. At the end of the game.
Watch out.
Obviously, that's not how it'll work because they're closers, but you get the point.
I think
quick,
I think you're right.
We were so right on the Red Line World Series being back on. People were clowning us on Instagram, I think it was. And like, oh, no, it's over. It's over. Like the two best teams in baseball. We called it. I just wanted to say we're vindicated for that.
I will say that even though we are a smaller podcast, thank you to all of our subscribers, by the way, for watching. I will say that we do have some pretty good predictions. Pat on the back for us. We love it. We know you guys love it, and we love to see it. So, kind of speaking on Kimbrell, keeping him going into the Jed Hoyer is now on a good hot seat because now he's got the decision: who am I going to keep on this Cubs team? Because he's got a lot of people he's got to pay. He's got to pay guys like Rizzo. He's got to pay guys like Bryant, Baez, Contreras, Kimbrell. Jock Peterson now he might have to, keep around. It's definitely an interesting situation. And a lot of people are saying, oh, you can only keep 2 of the core 4 out of Rizzo, Bryant, Baez, and Contreras. But in my head, the way Chris Bryant is playing in the outfield, who would you keep? I'm saying find a way to sell everyone else and keep the core 4. I'm talking about, sorry, Craig Kimbrell, use him up this year. His contract's off the books next year. Sorry, you did your job. You did what you were brought here to do, close out a World Series for us. I would love for the Cubs to keep him, but he's going to want that big dollar bill because he is getting closer to the end of his career. But, we'll see about that. But you cannot lose this core because they're working together. And the thing that worries me is that they're trying to prove Jed Hoyer wrong because Jed Hoyer was talking like Chris Bryant was going to get traded this offseason, gave Rizzo no money. And now all of a sudden it's just in a position where, we'll go into who we would get rid of in a sec. But Tony, I see out of the core 4, who would you keep and why?
So right now, I think you have to do Wilson Contreras and Anthony Rizzo. And my reasoning behind that is Wilson Contreras, I think, is I'd say he's the best defensive player on that team right now of those 4. Like, because obviously Javi is very, he's very flashy at shortstop and stuff, but he does make some mistakes, and it's really actually not a knock on the other guys. It's just he is like, whenever someone throws down to first base, like as a catcher, after like a pitch, I've heard announcers call it like the Wilson Contreras. Like that is just such a cool thing to have named after you. That is such a big thing for, for your starting pitchers, knowing that they don't have to worry about the runners on base. So that I think, and he's just in general a good catcher. So that obviously you can build around that, especially if you go out and start sign some starting pitching. And then Anthony Rizzo, he's that core guy. He's that Patrick Kane, Jonathan Tays. He just is that guy. You got to keep him around. What would have been Derrick Rose, I'd like to think.
Sheesh.
Yeah, he's the guy you got to keep around. Obviously, in a vacuum, if you're just going purely on talent, I think it's Wilson Bryant then, just because obviously Chris Bryant is having an unbelievable year already.
Yes.
And it's showing no signs of slowing down. It's a contract year. He's playing for his money. However, I think he's ready to go. I think he's ready to go just because of how the Cubs management treated him. I think he loves the fans. I think he loves the city. I think he loves the team and all the guys. But I think, at the end of the day, it's a business. We don't get to see the behind the scenes stuff. And I do think that they've really kind of done him dirty. And I think he's over it.
Yeah. So I think you and I are eye to eye on who we would get rid of in order to keep the core four. I would get rid of Jason Hayward because contract's big. He's older, try to get some picks out of it. Yeah, definitely. Right. Like I would unfortunately get rid of Jock Peterson. Love the name, love the swag, but you can't do anything with him, and he's probably going to want big money the way he's playing unless he gets cold again. And shockingly, I'd get rid of Arrieta. Arrieta is not the pitcher that he once was. I would kind of hope that he would be like, I'm going to hang up the cleats. Like, I did my job. If he wins another World Series this year, he should definitely retire. But we'll have to see what the cap is for next year. I don't think it's been established yet, but I'm hoping that the core four stays, but we'll see about that. And then finally, just two quick other updates before we close out. Is that David Bodie is still out with a shoulder injury. He had an awkward slide against the Reds. Go look at it. It can be a little graphic because you kind of see the shoulder go. So I'm going to do that noise more. And then Hayward should be back this week. Would be great to get rid of him at the deadline for some prospects, open up some cap, and maybe re-sign someone during the season to build that confidence in the core four. But we'll see about that. But we are out of time for this episode of Just Another Year Chicago. So the Cubs are red hot. Our next baseball episode is strictly on the White Sox. Please let us know if you prefer us to have both in one podcast or separately. We love to hear you guys' feedback, and we love talking to you guys. But with that, my name is Nick Rohde, joined alongside my co-host, Tony Cepeda. Cubs are red hot. I love it. Sox, Cubs play this weekend. Stay in first. Let's get it done, and we will see you guys next time.